more women are being attracted to men that are not healthy for them. And I like how you said, on the one hand, their behavior is not your fault, it's not your responsibility. On the other hand, you can find that personal agency to change your tastes. And you articulated quite beautifully this dichotomy in how women who have this recurring pattern tend to think about it. What it reminds me of is the way people think about food when they have an unhealthy relationship with food. It's sort of like food that tastes good is food that's bad for me, and food that's good for me tastes bad, right? As long as you're thinking that way, you're going to struggle with food and health and weight, right? But people who have a more healthy, active lifestyle actually enjoy the delicious taste of truly nourishing food. So I hear you talking about shifting tastes.
Yes.
So, what is it that you find helpful for women who are caught in this cycle and who are stuck with that limiting belief, thinking the only men who are exciting or who affect me in that way are the ones who are no good for me? What helps them get out of that?
Well, one of the things you've touched on just now, and that is self talk. The first step to changing your life is changing what you say to yourself. And I emphasize in my work a lot of a lot of Carol Dweck's work on the growth mindset, because I think it's so key to making real fundamental changes in your life. So, your first step is just changing your mind on whether you can do it. Having a mindset that says, even if it's tough, even if I backslide, I can do this and I'm going to keep going until I succeed. Les Brown, the motivational speaker, he has a saying, it's not over till I win. And if you have that kind of mindset, that's where you start. You start by telling yourself, I'm going to change how I think about this, because you can change your taste. And I know for myself, I'm glad you mentioned food, because for myself, some months ago, I decided I was going to severely reduce any kind of processed food. So, processed sugar and wheat products. I have them every 2 weeks because I also know a lot about the brain. And if you tell yourself, looking at a piece of cake, I can never have this, it sets up a deprivation mindset and it undermines your efforts. So every 2 weeks, I allow myself to have time off, but the rest of the time, I eat natural food. And it's amazing. When you stop eating processed sugar, all of a sudden, fruit tastes wonderful. It wakes up all of these taste buds you didn't realize you had. So, what I want women to understand is that thrill they get right now from the attraction of the bad boy, the mystery, the sense of danger that he brings. You can actually go on a diet where you don't even crave that anymore. And I can show you how to do it. And guess what? It's not even hard. I love easy. Easy is one of my good words. It's not even hard, and I show you how to do it in the book.
Well said. I like that. Such a positive attitude, and I hear that you're drawing on our capacity for neuroplasticity, this belief
Yes.
in our own capacity to change. So, without giving away all your secrets that are contained in the book, what are some common themes that women find helpful in shifting their tastes and adopting that growth mindset?
But it's interesting that your taste begins with your own expectations of yourself as a woman.
Hmm.
So you have to shift what you think you deserve. The more you feel, and that has to be in a romantic context, because the theory after theory has found we're most attracted to people who perceive us, who see us the way we see ourselves. But we see ourselves in a number of roles. We see ourselves as a daughter, we see ourselves as a sibling, as a friend. In our profession, we perceive ourselves one way, but we also see ourselves as a romantic partner. And what we have to do in order to change your taste is alter what you feel you deserve as a romantic partner. So that there are a few things you can do. First of all, change what you're feeding your brain about that. So look at the relationships in the content that you watch, in what you read, in what you say around your girlfriends. What are you applauding? What are you rationalizing? Change that. Have expectations. And I'm not talking about there's a whole kind of trend that I've seen, this whole queen trend,
Mm.
where you see, I'm sure you've seen some of the videos have gone viral where women are saying, any guy that goes out with me, he has to buy me an 8-carat diamond ring. He has to make at least $500,000 a year. And yes, I'm a receptionist who works part time and I'm average looking, but this is what I demand in my partner.
Mm.
I'm not talking about going that way. That's just kind of odd.
It seems
I'm
like a
talking
defense strategy.
Well, it also is you're setting yourself up for failure. I am not
Mhm.
setting women up for failure. I'm setting them up for success, for healthy long-term relationships. So you
Mhm.
have to stop watching content that applauds having no sexual boundaries,
Mm.
being with men who cheat. I mean, Crazy Stupid Love epitomizes this to me. In the film, we're supposed to believe that Ryan Gosling's character is completely reformed because he falls in love with Emma Stone's character. Here is a guy who's using pickup strategies, the pickup artist strategies, which is a predatory psychological manipulation strategy to pick up different women every night for sex. And we're supposed to believe that because he falls in love, all of a sudden he's a loyal partner. It doesn't happen like that. A guy like that would cheat constantly. And there's so much out there where I constantly see content where women are put in sexual situations by men, by other women, where it's obvious that their character isn't sexually interested in this person, but they just go along. They go along and let it happen. And that's teaching women to not have firm boundaries. And that is so dangerous. You cannot attract and keep a good partner without real boundaries about what is okay for you.
I see it a lot in the younger generation, this kind of hookup culture, and
Mhm.
it's so sad that girls are misled about this. Do you think there's also, however unconsciously, kind of a narcissistic fantasy? And I don't mean narcissistic personality disorder. I mean, we all have narcissism within us, right? And there is, I think, for many women, kind of this driving narcissistic fantasy that I possess the power to reform the bad boy. Sure, he might have disrespected other women, but when he sees what he has with me, well, then he'll have no choice but to fall in love, right? And then this kind of repetition compulsion of playing out that fantasy over and over and just getting more and more hurt in the process rather than taking that more sober view that I hear you describing that is about believing behavior, looking at the pattern and understanding I'm actually not special enough to get someone else to change their ways. That's a big ask.
Well, because none of us can do it. And the easiest thing is to actually get a different type of man. And it's really interesting because on my podcast, in my Unmasking the Abuser work, I keep referencing having a superpower because what I do basically in all of my work, whatever field, I teach people to see and understand things that other people miss. So it's like seeing another color on the spectrum. And when you see that color on the spectrum, you realize these decisions are not going to take me where I want to go. And I'm not talking about becoming some super uptight person I know someone that had a 2-page, single spaced, 8-point font list of requirements for her partner. Okay. In my field, I meet a lot of the extremes. Okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting a good man that meets your expectations, that when you decide to have a committed relationship, it's mutual commitment. There are things you have to put in place in order for that to happen. And I see so many women now who don't even know what that is. They don't know what those things are. They haven't been taught. And the society certainly isn't teaching women what it takes to have a good relationship.